it's very fascinating.
Sorry, I didn't say your name. It's not really clear when I say, hey.
All the rest of it. Just one.
So much. It's like Double Dragon or whatever. I love it. So, hey guys, I'm glad you're here. We're about to get started. Listen, we're going to be taking prayer requests here in a little while. If there's something we can pray for you about, be sure and send those to me. You can text those to me at 520-335-7425. I'll tip that in the comments right now too. But we'd love to pray for you tonight. So send those to us. But otherwise, we're glad you're here. Love y'all. We're going to get started soon.
Hello. There we go. Hey, y'all. Welcome. Y'all get quiet quick. That's pretty amazing. I don't know what to do with that. So, there it is. How is everybody? Good. Hey, Luke, I can say hi to you yet, man. Glad you're here. Very cool. All you guys, I said hi to you. Like, it's terrible. So, anyway, guys, I'm glad you're here tonight. Have a really good night. A lot of cool stuff going on. I need some cool stories, though. What's been happening this week? What you got, Edie?
So last weekend, I got to hang out with my friends like all weekend.
Cool.
Like, I went to the mall with like my friends for like several hours.
That's
From
fun.
11 to like 4.
Which mall did you go to?
Park.
Okay.
And then I went over to her house, and then there was a party that I had to go to at 4
Okay.
until 10.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Good.
And I hung out with her on Sunday too.
Nice. It's a great day. I've never asked this before. What's the mall to go to for y'all?
Actually,
How do y'all go to the parks? Like that's your go-to mall is the parks. The only mall. Are there any other malls that I just don't know about? Northeast. Like one at Hearst. Okay. Oh, Grapevine's fun. Anybody else? Northeast and Grapevine. Yeah. Grapevine is nice. It's a lot of walking. That's okay. So you know what's funny though about Grapevine? So I go to the Grapevine because it's huge, and there's still only like 6 stores that I go in. So no, not a single grape there. You're right. It's all right. So yeah. Hey guys, come on in. So what you got, Katie?
Oh, I kind of officially want to kind of not have my own car,
Nice.
but I haven't even started learning to drive.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You have a car.
Yeah, it's my car.
You got the car.
You have a different one.
What did you say, Bailey?
I said it's my car because I got my grandmother's car, so she got my old car.
Ah, okay. So technically you have 2 cars.
Yeah, at the moment.
Nice. Very good. What you got, Bailey?
So my goat now weighs 99 pounds, and he weighs 60 pounds when we got him. So
Okay.
he's gonna make pretty good money.
That's what I'm talking about. Keep feeding him cement, right?
Yeah.
Good girl. Yeah, what you got?
I took my PSAT yesterday.
How'd the PSAT go?
Good.
Yeah? Who all took PSAT? No? Not much people taking the PSAT? Yeah? All right, anybody feel like they did really well, PSAT? Yeah? Have I ever told y'all about my best friend in high school named Michael? So my best friend in high school, and actually middle school too, so I was the quarterback of our football team. My best friend was my center. And he always joked about, since the reason why we're best friends, if I was going to be touching his butt all the time, then it made sense for us to be good friends, right? Anyway, Michael was Hispanic, and the year we took the PSAT, he scored high enough that he was the 3rd smartest Hispanic in the entire country, like according to the PSAT. And so he got like all sorts of scholarship money to basically any college you want to. So I know y'all took the PSAT yesterday. Maybe this doesn't help you, but when you have the chance to take it, like it can really work out well for you. At least if you're going to be the 3rd smartest Hispanic in the country. So, yeah, try hard to be that, okay? Katie, what you got?
Because of the PSAT, since I don't have to take it, I did nothing all today and all yesterday.
Congratulations.
It was so boring.
That's good. Cambry, you did cut and dye your hair. I like it too. It's fun. EG? Kylie, what would you like to say?
I got my driver's test today.
That a girl. See, this works out well because Bailey has 2 cars.
We're not taking my car.
Good. Yeah, y'all can go street racing now and everything. So that would be awesome. Good. Anyway, what do you got, man?
So today I just got 2 massive whiteboards.
So you get 2 massive what?
Whiteboards.
Whiteboards. I heard bike wars in your car. Wow. In your room. That's cool. Okay, whiteboards. Good.
Because I tried to use a planner for a long time, but apparently I don't remember to write things down in said planner
Okay.
or look at said planner
Sure.
to like see the things that I wrote down. So hopefully with like the massive whiteboard like right in front of my face, I'll actually remember.
I like it. You know what you could do with your planner now is look at the whiteboard. Like every day, just look at the whiteboard. Right? Pretty good. All right, last call. Anybody else? Cool stories. This is good today. I like it. What do you got?
I got LED lights for my room.
LED lights for your room.
Finally, after everybody that I know has it. And I don't.
So when you say LEDs, like you replaced your light bulbs with LED
No,
bulbs,
no.
or like
So
you got
they're
the
like-
fun like twinkle
like-
bulbs?
They're like strips of LEDs.
Okay.
You plug into your wall.
Right.
And you like stick it up on your wall,
Right?
and it goes in your ceiling, and you can put it all the way around.
Sweet.
And it lights up.
That sounds a lot like the lights that Kate and I are about to put up in the student lounge for you guys. Now they're not strips, they're like bulbs, but they're LEDs and they can change colors. And yeah, that's fun. I guess I need to get some LED lights besides the ones I've already got for y'all. So very cool. Actually, I keep seeing a lot of people put the LED strips behind their TV, like attached to the back of your TV.
People put it behind the dressers.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll look into that. Very cool. All right, let's do some announcements, guys. There's a handful of things going on. Chris, you pull those up for me. Guys, we've had the mass conversation before. They're not required in here, but this really is important. If you come in the front door downstairs, the front door specifically, need you to pop on a mask. At the bare minimum, I need you to do this, right? But really, even just like hold it over your face for that 10 steps from the front door up the stairs with upward go, or not upward, not call it upward anymore. It's One World Basketball. With basketball season going on, and because it's an athletic facility, there's a different set of regulations going down on the first floor. And that's true. Like even if you just come to see me at the church during the day, wear the mask from the door, like to the student lounge. You don't have to wear it in the student lounge. But that's to save Miss Katrina a lot of trouble. But that's also just under the regulations, okay? But if your family is like, we just don't do masks at all, if you come in the back door, no one's going to say a word to you. The steps are right there. Make life easy on you too, okay? So that's the deal with the mask. Also, let's make it clear to you as well. Like some of y'all wear masks all the time, and it's great. Some of you don't, and that's okay too. I'm going to keep saying this, just be respectful of each other. Truly, like if somebody just feels like they need to wear a mask all the time, honor that. Okay, and if you want to honor them a step further, like if someone's wearing a mask, maybe you pop your mask on while you're having a conversation with them. But find ways to honor each other. This doesn't have to be a divisive thing. Does that make sense? Very cool. All right, next thing. There we go. Oh yeah, we still have some leftover D&L shirts. Now all we have at this point are smalls, and so like if you're a large human being, I'll sell you 2 of them for $5, and we'll sew them together for you. But we've got some leftover D&L shirts. If you want one, they're super comfortable. They're really soft. They look great. They don't fade. If you want a D&L shirt, we'd love to get you one of those. And they are, even though it's a small, their size is a little bit bigger. So if you're like a medium person, you might still be able to make a small work, or you have a really cool muscle tee, okay? So we got some of those left over. What do we got else? Student lounge. We opened the student lounge a few weeks ago, and I didn't tell you what the hours were. That would be helpful so you know when it's open and what's not. So we open that thing every morning at 9 o'clock. And so those of you that want to come up and do your schoolwork in the student lounge, and several of you did this way, 9 o'clock is when that thing opens. Now, I'm generally here at 9 o'clock. Kate is sometimes, she's not always. Keep in mind, like I have a job, so like I'm going to open the door and let you in. I'm not going to sit in there with you. Like, you're going to see me wander around and do all the crazy stuff I do every single day. But you're welcome. Just hang out in there. You can do your work. If you don't have work, like for instance, Katie did not this week. But Kate, this is really cool. I want to brag on Kate for a second. Kate didn't have anything to do yesterday, but she asked, hey, is there room in the student lounge? I said, yes. She said, is anybody in there doing homework? And Katie chose not to come up here because people were actually doing school, and she didn't want to sit there and play video games while everyone else was doing school. So that was very kind of her. I thought that was good. Nonetheless, keep in mind, there's just 5 people at a time, but you can come up and use the student lounge. That cafe is open too if you want to just come up here just for a different change of setting. It'd be really, really great. And again, we have video games. And some of y'all, we had some PE time yesterday. I beat some of you boys at 21. That was a good time. So if you want to come lose to me in basketball again, come up and play some basketball, all right? But that's kind of the stuff that goes on during the day. But our hours we're open every day at 9. On Mondays and Thursdays, we're going to close at 7, all right? Kate's going to stay late on Monday nights. I'm going to stay late on Thursday nights. We'll have some extended hours. Tuesdays, we close down at 5 o'clock. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to shut it down at 6:15. I suspect, and today's proof of that, Wednesday's generally going to be our busiest day in there. But you really can't come up any of those days. The rest of the days, we might have some special setups, but we'll announce those. But the student lounge, by the way, is also something that you can rent out. So if you want to have your birthday party in there, or you just on Saturday be like, hey, I just want to rent out the student lounge for a couple hours. Talk to me, and we can make a deal on that, okay? And like when I say rent it out, I don't know, it'd be like $10 or $20. It's not going to be a lot of money, but it's a nice place to chill. So those are the hours. But the biggest deal, guys, is text me before you come up just to make sure there's space for you, because I don't want you to be disappointed if there's already 5 people in the room. Unless they've been here all day long. I'm not going to kick somebody out just because you showed up. So text me before you come. We'd love for you to use that space, okay? Other stuff going on. The Bible Study Together app. I think maybe not all of you here. A lot of you here last week. I want you to jump on your smartphone and download the Bible Study Together app, because Monday is when that starts. Our entire church family is going to read the entire Bible over the course of the next 2 years. And the Bible Study Together app is going to be the runway that we use to do that. Or you can just go to BibleStudyTogether.com. And then we're also on Sunday, if you don't have a computer or a smartphone, and you just like me, you just like to read your Bible and not a digital Bible, we're even going to have a bunch of pamphlets with the entire program set aside so you can track. But that's Monday. If you didn't already do that for me tonight, if you got some questions about the app, you can ask that. We're excited about this. It's not just a youth group thing. This is an entire church family thing. So ideally, your whole family together, so you read the whole Bible together, it's going to lead to some great conversations. What else we got? Super Bowl party. So I emailed your parents yesterday. When you get home,
want you to have a conversation with them. Ask them, say, hey, did you get TJ's email? And if you did get TJ's email, did you respond to them? Because I asked them several questions, but one of the big ones I asked was about the Super Bowl party and kind of what your family's thinking about the Super Bowl party this year. I proposed to them an idea, instead of us doing our big gathering in here, maybe we have like 4 or 5 mini parties at different people's houses. So far, the responses have been, yeah, let's do some mini parties. So that's kind of where we're leaning, but that's not set in stone yet, because I want to hear from some more of your parents. I'd like to let y'all know that on Sunday. But the Super Bowl is a week from this coming Sunday. The game is irrelevant because both teams are stupid, but the Puppy Bowl will be on TV, and that's always a lot of fun. We just hang out together, eat food, so that's good. Nonetheless, if you want to be part of that, that's great. If you just want to hang out with your family that night, that's totally okay too. But we want to still get together if we can. And right now, it's looking like we're going to have several small parties, which is fine. But just have your parents write me back. Kate wants y'all to know about the Therefore Gathering. This is for high school girls, all right? High school girls, you need to check in with Kate, call her, text her, email her, find out the scoop on that. Therefore Gathering is $20 this year, and the $20 is for the T-shirt. It is a digital thing this year, but you girls are still going to hang out together and have a lot of fun with that. So check in with Kate. Again, it's high school girls. Junior high girls, sorry, it'll be worth it when you get there, though. It sounds like they won't even let me come, but it's like it's really. I literally got kicked out of Therefore a couple of years ago. I'm not even joking. It really is just for high school girls. So it's all right. Okay, last thing, send us your schedules. I want to come watch you do your thing. I know some of you got basketball going down, track starting, baseball starting. Dramas are kind of coming back, concerts coming back a little bit. I want to come watch you do your thing. So shoot me your schedules. Even if you tell me the day beforehand, I'll probably try to figure out a way to make it work, all right? So let us know what's going on. All right, Kater, you're up. Or am I doing this part? I don't remember.
No.
I'm doing this part. Pray, that's right. We're going to do prayer requests. We're not doing prayer groups right now. It doesn't make sense for us to spread out here and jump to prayer requests. We're going to do prayer requests this way. Kate's going to write them down because we're going to try something new with y'all. So what do y'all want to pray about? What you got?
Sydney Land is sick, and she says that she feels like that.
Yeah, Sydney is pretty sick. Sydney does have COVID, and it's been harder on her than it's been on some other people. So yeah, so pray for Sydney for sure. Sydney, if you're online, hi, sweetie. We're glad you're here. You pull it down when you can see me. What else? Jackson.
So I sprained my ankle, but I'm really bummed that I keep using it. But my baseball team thing is starting soon.
Yeah.
So hopefully it feels good.
It's pretty hard to not use your ankle, so don't feel entirely down about that. Just don't do whatever it is you normally do to sprain it.
Basketball,
Basketball will probably help sprain it some more. So maybe don't play basketball, but also don't just hop around on one foot. That doesn't help either, okay? So that's good. Pray for Jackson's ankle. What else? Thank you. Say again? Court, yeah. Yeah, Nathan's got a court case coming up.
Not me. Like family stuff.
Oh, family court, yeah. It's not, you man watch. No, do you? That's it. That a boy. Daniel, that's good. Yeah, let's go. Nathan family course. What else? All right, it's pretty easy. Serious? I'll let Kate. I'm sorry, Bailey.
I guess just for like all the seniors right now with scholarship stuff and
Oh, yeah.
applications, because I just never realized I still have to like fill out a lot of stuff.
A lot of paperwork when you're a senior, for sure. The good news is you'll never forget any of your information because you will have written it down so many times.
I'm for sure gonna remember my social security number.
That's good. That's good. Just don't start giving your social security number to people when they ask for your phone number, okay?
Okay.
That's how we do that. All right, Kate's going to explain to you how this next part's going to work. It's cool.
Okay, so the way that we do it in our meetings is once we have all of the prayer requests, I'm going to ask somebody, and you can volunteer to do this, to pray for each prayer request. So then we'll go around in a circle. TJ can start, or I can start, and then you guys each pray for the one that you've adopted, and then TJ will close us out. Sound good? Okay, so who wants to pray for Sydney? Bailey's going to pray for Sydney.
Oh, you don't have to come up front, sweetie. You can just pray.
Yeah, you're just going to pray from where you're at.
And don't feel like this has to be a big, long, elaborate prayer. It's just one thing you're praying about.
Who wants to pray for Jackson and his sprained ankle? Come on. It can be short and sweet.
Nathan, you raise your hand? That's sure what that looked like.
Did you want to pray for that? What was your name?
Joshua.
Joshua. Couldn't tell who that was with a hat. Okay. Who wants to pray for Nathan and family court? Kenzie. And then who wants to pray for the seniors and scholarship stuff?
Yeah, Jackson?
Jackson got it. Okay.
Beautiful. So you decide I'm starting or you're starting?
I can start unless somebody else wants to start.
Everybody just want to do a general prayer for us? AJ? Oh, yeah, Jacob's got COVID too. We can add that too. Will you start us off praying for Jacob? Yeah. All right, AJ's going to start praying for Jacob. And then who's next, Kater?
And then Bailey, and then Joshua, Kenzie, and then Jackson.
Cool. All right, AJ, let's do it, baby. Say, Jake, yeah, you're talking to God for Jacob. Yeah, there you go.
I pray for Sydney and that she'll be able to get through COVID easier than she has been. She'll start feeling better, a lot better.
Hey God, I just pray for Nathan and his family with this court case that's coming up, God. We know exactly how it's going to go, God, and so I just pray that you would help them all see that this is in your hands, that you are in control, and that everything with you will be okay, God. So I just pray for him.
For the seniors and for the calling process and college so that they can do their careers in life.
Thank you so much for this gift of you. I love just being able to. I pray just that we can tune in to what you have to say today, and that we're able to worship really as you lead us. I just pray for a great rest of the week. In the sense of holy precious name. Amen.
Amen. All right, so this is really cool, guys. Jordan is going to lead us in worship tonight. This is kind of fun. She's going to sing a cappella. Yeah, that's really cool. Right? So Jordan, come on up. Now, as I'm saying this, so Jordan singing a cappella. Like, this isn't a concert. This isn't your chance to just go, yay, Jordan. Sing along with her. That's really, really important, right? So, Jordan, we're glad you're doing this, sweetie.
Gonna do it again.
How great the chasm lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven, then spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. The cross has spoken I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. Jesus Christ, my living hope. And hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your very body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your very body began to breathe. When out of silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, yours is the victory. Hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, through the darkest night. You are close like no other. Known you as a father, known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. Every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Quarantine's over. We got to hire some new employees. What do we got here? All right, listen, Abraham. Listen, any Bible name is hired, okay? We know our policy. Biggest failure, losing the middle school spelling bee. Hired. She can write the cow slogans. Naomi, hired. Caleb, hired. Miriam, hired. Former employer, Popeyes. Okay. On application, Diamond, no. A, no. Ruby. Listen, okay, anyone that has a name that's a treasure that's not in heaven is not going to be an employee of our store. How can your skill set benefit a Chick-fil-A? I can fix broken ice cream machines. Okay, this is Chick-fil-A. Our ice cream machines work. Tell her to go work at McDonald's. Favorite hobby, running. Hired. Put them in the drive-thru. Star. Okay, this woman's name is Star. Okay, interview her. If it's like a wise men follow North Star to find Jesus, I'm okay with it. But if it's like a star, like a zodiac astrology thing, then I'd rather not. Favorite Bible verse. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Very good. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's not a, is that a verse? No, that's not. E. This woman's name is E. Yes. Okay. If there's a cashier, have her try to upsell the male customer. Education, homeschool. Hired. Mount Zion Christian School. Hired. St. Peter's Catholic School. Oh. College education. Texas Christian University. Hired. Cal Berkeley. Too liberal. First Baptist Church. Hired. Hot Topic. No. References available upon request with pleasure. Okay, unnecessary. Hired, but unnecessary. Angel, hired, of course. Charity, yes, hired. That's the Salvation Army. Kitty, okay, no, we can't have a kitty working at a Chick-fil-A. Come on. Boaz is hired. Okay, this one says her name is Sweet Tea. How could somebody's name? Swatea? Somebody's name is Swatea? Bro, hired. Promoted to manager immediately. Favorite type of music? Instrumental Christian. Yes, perfect for our store. Roddy Rich. Come on, no, not it. Chris Tomlin. Yes. Kanye West. No, well, Kanye, is he, where is he? Ole Miss. Don't they have a big, like a party reputation at that school? I don't think that's a good environment for a Chick-fil-A employee. BYU. Oh, man. Are they, how does it, ask corporate about that. Judas? What? Okay, Bible name, yes, but bad character. Tell him Zaxby's is hiring. Age, 24. Gender. No, I'm not doing that show. Hope, yes. Faith. Yes, grace. Any questions you'd like to discuss during your interview? How can you claim to have invented the chicken sandwich? You don't think anyone ever put a piece of chicken between two pieces of bread before 1946? Former employer, Raising Cain. Reasons for leaving. God told me to. Thank you.
All right, guys, open up your Bibles. Genesis 22. All right. What is Chick-fil-A known for? Okay, the chicken sandwich, like the most awesome food. But like,
They're awesome service. And waffle fries.
okay, pick me on food. Like, what are they known for?
Christian.
Okay, yeah, they're known as a Christian company, but what else?
They're service.
Closed on Sundays. What else?
They say my pleasure instead of your welcome.
Okay, good. How did Chick-fil-A make you feel?
Happy, loved, worthy.
Like, honestly, have you ever been mistreated at Chick-fil-A?
No.
No, Chick-fil-A like bends over backwards to make stuff right? So if y'all don't know this, I am the peppermint chocolate chip milkshakes. I'm pretty well a junkie on them. And I think they're finally fully gone. I have no lie, I've come to like every Chick-fil-A in Arlington just to see which one has left. So I found one in Fort Worth the other day, still have them. So I ordered one, and I used the app, right, because they just bring it up to the curb, and I did the curbside thing. So it's talking about it. So I ordered it, and then my shake didn't have the whipped cream and the cherry on it. And honestly, I looked at it and I thought, okay, like, is that a big deal? It's like, no, really, I want the full thing. But you can't just walk in the door anymore and tell them what's going on. So I just went and stood by the door. Someone saw me like walking towards the door, and they left the counter, walked out to me, and said, "What's going on, sir?" And I explained to them, like, "Hey, can I just get some whipped cream and cherry?" They didn't just give me they gave me a brand new shake and let me keep the other one. Because I didn't have whipped cream and cherry. So I went home with my family, like, "Hey, I got you all a shake," and my kids were like, "You're the best dad ever." So I am the best dad ever. If you need anybody a shake, Chick-fil-A gave me one, so that's cool, right? So they're known for taking care of people, and the word for that is hospitality, right? Chick-fil-A is awesome hospitality. Chick-fil-A also has another reputation that it's untrue, and there is not a small population of people who honestly believes that Chick-fil-A corporate hates gay people. Hates them. Again, that's not even remotely true. The way I know it's not like there are gay people not only who work at Chick-fil-A, there are gay people who own and run Chick-fil-A's. But this is sort of like this again, there's lots of crazy things that people believe, right? So one of the knocks against Chick-fil-A is people that number one, have never tasted the food. But number two, people that get aggravated about whatever, they just are convinced that Chick-fil-A hates gay people. The reason why I bring this up, the lesson today is not on Chick-fil-A. There is a not so small belief by a huge swath of people that honestly that God hates gay people. And guys, I promise you that's not even remotely true. However, one of the reasons that passage, that statement gets made is the passage that we're going to look at tonight. And it's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Some of y'all know this story, some of you don't. Either way, we're going to look at it. It should be in chapter 22, right? We're going to need a little bit of the back up. We're going to talk about a lot tonight. That'd be funny. You guys remember who Lot is? We're going to talk about a lot tonight. Haha, yeah, TJ is the best, right? Yeah. Who's Lot?
Abraham's nephew.
Abraham's nephew, very good. What was the deal with Abraham's nephew?
His dad died.
Yeah, we know his father died. And apparently, and this is, we talked about this last week, right? Like, God came to Abraham and said, hey, like, if you do what I tell you to, specifically, leave your family, don't take anybody with you, go to this land I'm going to show you, I'm going to make a mighty nation, right? And if he did that, what did he do? He took Lot with him. Now, God didn't like throw any rocks at Abraham, but that wasn't exactly obedience. And so, like, I'm not that, but like, just God said, don't take me to your family, leave them, but he took Lot. But the same total, like, Lot was, and you get the impression Lot wasn't married yet, so maybe Lot was maybe like a little kid or maybe a teenager, and so Abraham sort of took him in, right? So Abraham and Lot are together. When you look at chapter 14, though, this situation happens where apparently not only did Abraham have this pretty awesome set of cattle with him, but Lot also had quite a bit of cattle with him also. And so it reached the point where like their shepherds were fighting with one another and things weren't going well. And so Abraham said to Lot, hey, you know what? We need to part ways now. Which is what I'm thinking, like, this is what God told you to do anyway, dude. But nonetheless, like, we need to part ways. And because you're my nephew, Lot, I'm going to let you pick which direction you're going to go. So I want you to look out. They were standing kind of up in a high place. And Abraham said, you look out and tell me which side of the mountain you want to go to. And I'll give you that, and I'll go the other way, and everybody be happy. Well, Lot, I don't know how old he was. I think he's not married. It doesn't say anything about a wife and kids. They pop up later on. So it's an assumption there, but I don't think it's a safe assumption. But he says he looks around, and he sees this area that's lush, and it's green, and it just looks awesome. And Lot goes, well, I want that. And that's not hard to understand, right? If you've got cattle, you don't eat grass, but your cattle eats grass. So it makes sense that you would want your critters. Hey, guys, come on in. You would want your critters to eat grass. The problem with this area that Lot was looking at was there was this city, a pair of sister cities called Sodom and Gomorrah that were right there. And they were known, I can't say worldwide, but region-wide, they were known as a really wicked city. But Lot said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to go this way. Abraham, I guess you're going to go over there to where there's not a whole lot going on. Abraham said, hey, no problem. I made this deal with you. You go. So Lot takes his stuff. He goes towards Sodom, and actually says specifically that he set his tent up in the direction. So he didn't go to Sodom, but he set his tent up in the direction of Sodom. Abraham went the other way. God pops up immediately. Abraham says, hey, you know what? Don't sweat it. I know there's not a grass, there's not a swamp, but I'm your provider. I'm the one that takes care of you. It's going to be fine. Okay, awesome. Very next chapter, we see where Lot is now living in the city of Sodom. Still doesn't say anything about a wife, but it does say that Lot gets kidnapped by some invaders that come into the city of Sodom. One of the people that also got kidnapped, lots of people got kidnapped from Sodom. A lot of treasure got taken too. One of the people got away and escaped, and they went to Abraham and said, yo, like your nephew, he just got kidnapped. Here's how you know how much money that Abraham had already, even before God started to bless his life tremendously. It says that Abraham raised up the people in his house that were of fighting age, and there were 318 of them. Dude had 300 band of marauders went into whatever country it was that kidnapped his nephew Lot, and they kicked butt, they took names, they brought back all the women, all country it was that kidnapped his nephew Lot, and they kicked butt, they took names, they brought back all the women, all the children, and they rescued Lot. Now you would think at this point Lot would go, you know what, I'm going to stay with you, Uncle Abraham, or I'm going to get away from this place that's clearly not good for me, but that's not what he did. He stayed in Sodom, but that's not what he did. He stayed in Sodom. In fact, he moved even farther into Sodom. Now flash forward roughly 20 years later. Okay, this is right after, we're in chapter 22 now. This is right after God shows up to Abraham for the last time and says, hey, I've been telling you. Right after God shows up to Abraham for the last time and says, hey, I've been telling you almost 25 years, you're going to get for real, it's happening. Seriously, right. She's 90 years old now. Abraham's 99. That's a whole other conversation. Actually, we're going to talk about that a little bit on Sunday. But it's really happening now. Okay? And then, and this is what's cool too, it's a conversation with God, but then also two angels that are hanging out with God. And as they're having this conversation, the two angels get up and they start walking, and they're heading to Sodom. And apparently God is there in the flesh having this conversation. It's called a Christophany. This is where Jesus shows up in the Old Testament from time to time. It's a pretty cool thing, right? He's having this face-to-face conversation with Abraham. And he says, hey, I should tell Abraham what I've got planned. So he begins to tell Abraham about this devastation that he's about to wreak on the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because of their evil. And that's what we're going to pick out, all right? So jump into, I know I've been telling you 2022, but actually I want us to look at, did I say the wrong chapter? I told you the wrong chapter, guys. I'm sorry. No, we've already gone there. This is why I shouldn't set my Bible down, because I had it all set up and it's good. Maybe it is 18. Nope, we're in 18. Yeah. Start at verse. There it is. This is helpful when I use notes. 22. Start at verse 22 of chapter 18. All right? 20 is what we're going to look at on Sunday. Here we go. It says, so the men turned from there and they went to Sodom, but Abraham stood still before the Lord Abraham drew near and said, will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? All right, so God just told Abraham, hey, I'm about to wipe out the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because they're evil, they're wicked. I've been listening to people pray to me about these cities because of the wrongs they committed against. I've been listening to these prayers for a long, long time, and it's time for me to act now. Well, what's Abraham thinking? Say again? His nephew's there. Notice he doesn't say, okay, cool, like, yeah, burn him, right? All he's thinking about is his nephew. But he doesn't just come right out to God and say, hey, Lord, my nephew's there. Could you maybe do something about that? So he and God begin to have this interesting conversation. I'm just going to read this to you. And it's going to sound really annoying. If it sounds annoying to you, imagine how God felt, right? And then I want you to think about the way that you pray. Check this out. Abraham drew near and said, will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there's 50 righteous people within the city. Will you then sweep away the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to put the righteous to death with the wicked, so that the righteous spares the wicked. Far be that from you. So this is like him saying, God, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't kill 50 righteous people with a bunch of unwicked people, right? I mean, that's not what you do. But it's not questions. It's, you wouldn't do that. Notice God doesn't like slap Abraham and go, don't tell me what I can and can't do, right? God's really gracious. Look what he says. Shall not the judge of the earth do what's just? And the Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people, I will spare the whole place for their sake. By the way, what does God know? Everything. So God, it's not like God's going to go and go, okay, well, let's start counting. Like, he already knows. But he's having this conversation. Like, I want you to see God's character in this. This is pretty interesting. Abraham answered and said, behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord. I am but dust and ashes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5? He said, I will not destroy it by 45 there. And again he spoke to him, and he said, suppose there's 40 that are found there. God said, for the sake of 40, I will not do this. And then he said, oh, let it not make you angry, for I will speak. Suppose there are 30 found there. He said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, behold, I am undertaking to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found. And he answered, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. And then he said, okay, Lord, please don't get angry. I will speak again to you, but this once, suppose 10 are found there. And the Lord answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. And the Lord went his way and finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. It's kind of an annoying conversation, right? Just from the outside looking in, ever watch a movie, like it's unfolding and the conversation's going nowhere. Now, if you're in Abraham's shoes, I kind of get where he's at. Feels like he needs to be careful with God, and he's really nervous for. But notice he never once says, like, Lord, would you just spare my nephew? Like, would you just do that, please? That's really where his heart was at, right? So don't you think? Hey, listen, watch how he's talking to God. Or even though he's kind of being annoying, again, notice God never once smacks him. God never once says, dude, like, just say what you really want. The Lord is being patient. He's listening. He's being gracious. Do you think, for instance, though, if he had just said, hey, Lord, like, really, like, my nephew's there. He's married now. He's got a couple of daughters. Got some sons-in-law. Can you help them out? How do you think God would have responded? Say it again? Sure. Yeah. Yes, I will spare them. And the reason we can assume that is because every time Abraham said, hey, will you spare this many? What was God's answer? Yeah. So what does this tell us about the character of God? Like, is God wanting to rain down fire from heaven and do all this stuff? No. What does he want to do? He wants to spare people. He wants to deliver rights. Ultimately, he wants to see people saved and changed. That's his heart. That's his goal. That's his motivation. But we do know this about God. God is just. God does have to rebuke sin in all people. And if sin's not paid for, there's going to be a problem. That's what we're about to see unfold. But it's. I want y'all to catch that. Patient with Lot, even when Lot's kind of being passed. Even when Lot's not shooting straight at God. Now, jump into 19. The 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening. By the way, this chapter, if you've never read it before, it's just all sorts of gross. Okay, so everybody buckle up. You're going to hear some really messed up stuff. Not all adults, but you're old enough to handle this, okay? So here we go. Angels came to Sodom that evening. Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom, and Lot saw them, and he rose immediately. I don't think he knew they were angels. He just knew they were visitors. By the way, if he's sitting in the gate, that means that Lot is now one of the city leaders. So he's not just another dude living in town. He's a pretty important person. That is one of your story. It says, my lords. Notice the lower L, like this is just, hey, you guys, come here. Please turn aside to your servant's house. He's kind of acting a little bit shady here. Not shady. He's acting almost kind of nervous. You know, pick up why I said that. Says, y'all, come to my house. Your visitors in town, come to my house. And they said, no, we want to spend the night in town square. But he pressed them strongly. It's like, no, really, you need to come to my house. No, we're going to sleep here. No, really, you guys need to come stay at my house. Why is he acting that way? Because he knows how messed up the town is. Now, you guys, I don't know how long you live in your neighborhood. I don't think any of you live in messed up neighborhoods, but you probably got a pretty good feel of like who's trustworthy and who's not. And you know what parts of town to go to and what parts not. Like you know where you need to lock your door. Like you kind of got a feel for that stuff, right? At least a little bit. He knows this whole city, something about his whole city there. So he says, no, come to my house. I'll bake you some bread. So he did that. They came to his house. They ate. Verse 4. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, so think teenagers, right? All the people to the last man surrounded the house and called up to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we may know them. That word know there is a euphemism for sex. All right? I told you it's not even begun to get weird yet. Although that's pretty weird. Bring them out so that we may know them. So Lot went out to them at the entrance. He shut the door behind him, and he said, I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known any man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Yeah, he just offered up his daughter. Like, don't rape the men that I'm keeping in my house. You can have my daughters instead. But we're still not done with the messed up, okay? This is pretty messed up. Yeah. Only do nothing to these men, for they come under the shelter of my roof. But they said, stand back. And they also said, this fellow came to sojourn. We're talking about Lot now. This fellow came to sojourn, and now he's beginning to tell us what to do. Back out, or we will do to you what we plan to do to these men. So all of a sudden, he's a leader of the city. He's been living in this city for close to at least 20 years. And all of a sudden, they're turning on him because he's finally standing up for what's right. They don't like that so much. This is where the story gets really interesting. But the men, the 2 angels, reached out their hands from inside the house. They brought Lot into the house with them, and they shut the door. And then they struck with blindness the men who were at the entrance of the house, both small and great, so that they wore themselves out groping for the door. Here's what I want you to catch. They did something to strike everyone blind. Now, you would think if someone struck you blind, you would go, okay, I need to stop whatever I'm doing right now. But it says they wore themselves out groping for the house. That means they did not stop. They were still trying to get inside the house, even though they're blind now. Still very messed up, right? Keep going. Then the men said to Lot, have you anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons, daughters, anyone that you have in this city, bring them out of the place, for we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against this people has become great before the Lord. The Lord has sent us to destroy it. But Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law, who were to marry his daughters, up, get out of this place, for the Lord's about to destroy the city. But he seemed to his sons-in-laws to be joking. Okay, these are the guys going to marry his daughters. They would have spent a lot of time together. When he came to them and said, hey, God's about to do something, they said, I don't believe it. Just keep that in mind. As morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be swept away in the punishment of the city. But he lingered, so the men seized him. Notice I cut that. He lingered. That meant like he was hesitating to obey at this point. He lingered, so the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him. Catch that too. And they brought him out and set him outside the city. And as they brought him out, one said, escape for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the hills, lest you be swept away. And Lot said to them, oh no, my lords, behold, your servant has found favor in your sight. You've shown me great kindness and saving my life, but I cannot escape to the hills. Let the disaster overtake me and die. I don't want to go where you want me to go. By the way, he's taking them where he should have picked in the first place. I don't want to go there. That place is not good for me. I don't like that. Even the other place is going to kill me, and I don't want to go here. Behold, this city is near enough to flee to, and it's just a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one? My life will be saved. And said to him, behold, I will grant you this favor. Also, I will not overthrow the city which you have spoken. Escape there quickly, for I can do nothing till you arrive there. Therefore, the name of that city was called Zoar. Keep going. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zoar. Then the Lord rained down on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven. He overthrew those cities and all the valley and all the inhabitants of the city and what grew on the ground. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had been. He stood before the Lord, and he looked down, towards Sodom and Gomorrah and towards all the land of the valley. And he looked, and behold, the smoke of the land went up like the smoke of a furnace. So it was that when God destroyed the cities of the valley, God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow when he had overthrown the cities in which Lot had lived. Okay, anybody back at the computer?
No.
There's a picture on there that's it's a desert. It should be down the bottom. Throw that up there. Think about it. That right there. Guys, this is the area where Sodom and Gomorrah is. That's what it looks like now. Now, it doesn't, there's not a lot going on there, right? This was 3,000, nearly 4,000 years ago when this happened, and it's still, nothing's growing. This is what God did to this place. There's lots of awesome land in Israel. This is not one of them. By the way, you go, hey, well, they have a lake. No, that's the Dead Sea. You know anything about the Dead Sea? They call it the Dead Sea because there's nothing going on in there. Yeah, it's neat for like washing your hands, but that's it. Can't fish the Dead Sea. This is the area. Let me keep reading because I want you to hear this whole chapter, and then we'll talk about it briefly, okay? Lot went up out of Zoar, and he lived in the hills with his 2 daughters, and he was afraid to live in because he was afraid to live in Zoar. So he lived in a cave with his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said to the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come into us after the manner of all the earth. It's a fancy way of saying, no men here to have sex with us. You make plans. So come, let us make our father drink wine. And their father drank wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he did not know when she lay down or when she rose. The next day, the firstborn said to the younger, oh, I lay last night with my father. Let's make him drink wine also tonight. Then you go in and lie with him. That way we may preserve the offspring from our father. So they made the father drink wine that night. Also the younger rose and lay with him, and did not know when she lay down or when she rose up. Thus both the daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. I told you this chapter was awfully, awfully gross. Right? And that's just one chapter. By the way, there's all sorts of fun stuff in the book of Genesis. So let's talk about this. Remember I told you there's every passage of the Bible, there's stuff we can learn about God, there's stuff we can learn about man, and there's stuff we can learn about the world, right? So tell me, what's some stuff we can learn about God from this? He's just. And he also does what he says he's going to do, right? By just, I just mean like he does. He acts on wickedness. Now, here's what's incredibly cool about God. He's also really, really patient. We saw that with Lot, right? We saw this, like this has been going on for decades in Sodom and Gomorrah. And God let them go on for decades. Like, I don't know, why would God not just smoke them right away, right? And I understand that, and I think that sometimes, I think that like the entire state of California, right? Like, God, just wipe them out, man. It's all stupid. Good grief. But here's the catch, the problem with that thinking. If God started taking people out whenever they screwed up, would any of us be here? No. So it's incredibly good that he's patient with us. And not just with us, with people in general. Because God also, I care the word fair, but he's just in the sense that he's patient with us and he's patient with unbelievers too. And the reason why he's patient with unbelievers is because his heart is not to take people out. His heart is to see people saved. This way he gives people lots and lots and lots of time to repent. But there comes a time when he will act. And when he does act, it's game over. When Jesus finally comes back and gets us out of here, that's going to be awesome for us and awful for people who don't believe. It really will be game over at that point. But God is just. You got to catch that. God's patient, God's gracious. Okay, notice, like, ultimately, why did Lot get saved? Yeah. So God hears the prayers of other people on your behalf. Is that good news? Yeah. That also should maybe make us think about the way we pray for our friends and other people too, right? Like, God, I've got this friend, and they never, ever, ever listen to what's right. But I'm just praying, man, would you move in their life? Would you please help them? God loves to answer those prayers. Now, again, sometimes He takes His time with those. But He hears our prayers when we're praying for other people. And by the way, you don't have to pray like Lot. Lord, like, maybe if my friend only commits 5 sins today, would you be able to do that? Like, just pray, Lord, would you help my friend? Please? I know he's bonehead. I know she's able to see, but I love her. And maybe even more so, some of you have family members you have to think and feel and pray about this way too, right? So pray those things for your family. And God loves to hear those prayers and answer those prayers. Okay? What do you think about Lot? Like, if you had to, like, righteous dude, unrighteous dude. Kind of a me, maybe, right? Like, Lot doesn't seem to be doing a lot of bad stuff. And what do people's opinion, like his sons-in-laws, whenever he came to say, hey, like, God said He's going to do this, what was their response to him? They're funny. Why would they respond that way to him? Right there. Why should I take God seriously now? I've never had to take God seriously with you before now. You said you never care what God did before now, so why should I care what God thinks now? Guys, to the way that we live our lives as believers, that affects people's perceptions of God. Now, I know that feels really heavy. Like, I don't want to make you nervous. Like, man, I can never screw up, because if I screw up, people are going to go to hell. And that's not quite that way. But it should, should sober your thinking in the way, like, I can't just do whatever I want. I can't be a spiritual idiot. Don't go, God, forgive me. It's cool. I'll just do whatever. God wants us to take Him seriously. And people are watching. Does that make sense? And it's not just like people outside of His house. Like what His daughters did. And that's where some of y'all went like, ugh, right? And stack our chairs. Why do you think His daughters did that? Mm-hmm. Like there was no like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like it was like, oh, this makes sense. Let's get in drunk and have sex with my dad. No big deal, right? I'm like, this. Can you please stop saying that? I know it's gross, but do you see where if you surround yourself with immoral thinking, you surround yourself with ungodly people, do you see how it warps the way that you think to the point where what these two did just made a lot of sense to them? I hope and pray none of us ever end up in that situation. But guys, I promise you it can happen. Even to godly people, or even people who grew up in church. And Lot's kids didn't really grow up in church, but at least you get the idea, at least somewhat, maybe Lot was talking about God from time to time. Lot's wife, she was probably from Sodom. What happened to her? She died. God said, don't look back. And it wasn't like a, hey, don't look back just to see what's going on. It was a, don't look back because you miss what I'm removing you from. And that's exactly what she did. She looked back like, oh, but that's home. Like, I love that place. And she turned into a pillar of salt. It's really sad. The thing we learn too, it removes us from stuff that's hurting us, stuff that's going to hit us. In some cases, literally kill. But when we get the stuff that's spiritually killing us, we don't need to look back and go, oh, but I really missed that. That was really fun. That was really good. And notice Lot was doing that too. Lot was at least kind of that, right? It will cost us even just going, man, I just really miss being a pagan. That's normal. It's not fun. Keep going on this passage. There's a lot here. All right? Oh, and the homosexual thing. God didn't destroy the city just because it was full of people who were homosexual. Ezekiel actually talks about the fact that there were a number of things. Like the fact that they were just terribly inhospitable. Right? Now, that's kind of a duh. Like if someone new comes to your town and how you treat new people is you rape them. No, that's not how you understood it. Right? But there was a number of things. Like they had wronged enough people that there were people crying out to God. That city is wicked. They wronged. It wasn't just because they were gay. Is homosexuality sin? Absolutely. We're going to talk about that more in a couple of months. Right? But God doesn't hate gay people. God doesn't hate anybody. He does hate sin. And he hates what sin has done to the world. But his heart and his goal is to see it saved and changed. That's God. That's what he does. You got to know that. All right? We're way over time, so I'm going to pray. Joe, stack your chairs. But listen to me. Like this. Guys, I hope and pray. Number one, I'm going to pray. Go back and read this passage and use that. What am I learning about God? What am I learning about people? What am I learning about the world? Just use that framework as you're looking at this passage and really the chapter before and the chapter after. But if you don't hear anything else, guys, take this seriously. Sin will wreck your lives. All of it. Big sins, little sins. The thing about Lot, his original sin was like he was just attracted to what looked good, and he didn't care what else was around what looked good to him. So it looks good, I'm going to do it. And chasing what looked good cost him severely. So take sin seriously. Take God seriously too. Like he wants to help you, wants to hear your prayers. And he's not mad at you. Like he wants to be involved in your lives and show you how good he is, how really he really is better than all the stuff that looks really good to us is. If you don't hear anything else, hear that. Let's pray. Jesus, thank you for your word. I hate that we don't have more time, Father. There's a lot of good stuff here. Would you speak loudly into the ears and the hearts of all of us so that we can follow you and take you seriously? Thank you for saving people. Thank you for loving people. In your name we pray. Amen. Guys, I love you all. Glad you're here tonight. We'll see you later. If you don't have a mask, put the back door for me, por favor. Hey guys, I love y'all. I'm so glad you're with us tonight. Sydney, you're there. Hey, sweetie. I'm really, really glad. What's up, Weston? Man, I'm so glad y'all are here. Again, shoot me your prayer request, and we will see you soon. Bye, y'all.